All right, I'm going to let this play, and then I will pose a question.
Chariots and slaves and souls of men.
And slaves and slaves and slaves. You would be buying and selling slaves. That's not talking about you Negroes in the ghetto. That ain't, you are the slaves. We are the slaves. But you got these idiots, I'm gonna call them what they are. These monthly prognosticators talking about if you don't got the chip, you can't buy or sell. Buy or sell what? Snickers bar. This ain't talking about a Snickers bar. This ain't talking about Converse or Nikes. This is talking about big business here.
Where's the Negro's big business to sell anything?
Right. Read verse 15, please.
Verse 15. The merchants of these things, which were made rich
Which were made what?
Which were made rich.
So when you're buying and selling, it's talking about being made rich. That ain't the Negro in the ghetto. You ain't buying or selling nothing to become rich. Stop letting these knuckleheads fool y'all.
Negroes have no factories or nothing. What in the world is a Negro selling?
Give me another word for buying and selling. One word. Trade. It's talking about trade. Commerce. That's what it's talking about. Y'all let these knuckleheads on YouTube, they are, like Elder Kenai said, they are the underbelly of all Israel. The underbelly.
Right. Again, Elder, when you look at the United Nations and you have all those nations sitting down in there, those nations, they have trade. They can trade among each other. There ain't no Negroes, so-called Negroes, Puerto Ricans sitting up in there.
Exactly.
They're not trading anything, so they can't sell anything.
Now, real quick.
Do y'all understand what I mean by that?
Elder, before you move on, because you said...
Okay, you probably know the video is titled by them, the RFID microchip is a hoax. It was done 11 years ago. That was the same video where he said that it's June, ain't no microchips. So that's him explaining that the RFID microchip, that's him explaining that the mark of the beast has nothing to do with us poor Negroes, but instead we're talking about big nations, small nations. Well, this breakdown was done more recently. Let's get a more recent breakdown from Bishop Nathaniel IUIC, and then I'll pose the question.
Chapter 13 and verse 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
So that mark is sin. Go ahead. And how are they going to enforce that? Go ahead.
And that no man might buy or sell.
So they're going to use a digital currency, buying and selling. That's how they're going to force people to break God's laws. Read that again, verse 17.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark.
Like in Uganda. Uganda said, we don't accept LGBT. They said, you cannot buy or sell. Y'all see it in the news. That's on a major level. But they're going to start doing it with every so-called citizen or denizen in America as well. Read it.
Right, that's what the digital ID is about. All of that is all your information going to be there. So all they got to do is press one button and shut down everything. Your bank, your school loans, everything. Everything. You can't buy none.
17 again.
And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
So you gotta accept sin, okay? And they can control everything. And once they make their finances digital, they can control what you eat as well. Let's say you want to buy some lamb. They say, nope, this money you can only use it for GMOs. Once it's federal, they can control everything. And if they see you teaching the street, they're gonna shut him down. He's breaking the law. Shut him down. Boop. That's what they do, and they're gonna try to use that to force us to break God's commandments. But it might work on some of y'all, but it ain't gonna work on the rest of us.
So now my question is, where did this breakdown go? This breakdown here that you just heard him explain how it has, where he used Revelation 18 to say the buying and selling is referring to everything listed in Revelation 18. And one of those was what? Slaves. That's why he said, you're the slaves. And as you heard, Yawasop, is it Deacon Yawasop? Bishop Yawasop? He further added on to it and basically said, what do the poor Negro Puerto Rican got anything to do with buying or selling? You ain't got no business in it. So they were explaining that it has nothing to do with you or me. But now, okay, because that's my question. If it has nothing to do with you or me, what happened to that breakdown? What happened to using Revelation 18 to break down Revelation chapter 13? I'll tell you where it went. It went in the wind. It went in the trash. It disappeared. When you look up, one of many that he's changed. But when you look up IUIC Mark of the Beast, if you just type that in YouTube, you're going to find old videos like that. You'll find up to a point where he used Revelation 18 to explain what the buying and selling is. Even so that his men also did videos on it, and they was saying like it has nothing to do with you or me. It has something to do with big nations and small nations, commerce. Has nothing to do with some poor Negro in the hood. Up to a point, I would say about 6 years ago, that's when he completely stopped using Revelation 18 as a part of the breakdown of Revelation 13 to 15 or 16 to 18. He completely stopped. He threw it out the window. Just like that of many doctrines, like the hell doctrine. That doctrine changed like 2 or 3 times already. It went from being a spiritual place to a physical place. And you still don't even got clarification on that. Because they teach this hell. They say the hell is America. And they say that you're gonna be burning in hell in America forever. It's like, okay, but wait, so you're saying there's a physical place. Okay, but the scripture says that America will eventually have to be an inhabitant of desert creatures. So how is that going to burn forever? You know what I'm saying? See, that's confusion. So then it'll go back to being a spiritual place, depending on however they change it so many times. The breakdown of the mark of the beast has changed at least 3 or 4 times. It went from having nothing to do with us. Now all of a sudden it has something to do with you. You see? And their breakdown, is it not sounding closer and closer to our breakdown, to the breakdown of Great Millstone, starting with the Apostle Elders Great Millstone? So the question you should ask is, who's really telling the truth? How did it go from having nothing to do with you or me to now it has everything to do with you or me? How does that happen? You just went from mocking about buying and selling lamb and Snicker bars, right? You said maybe you could ask your dog to buy some lamb. Then you just use this example and say, oh, you trying to buy some lamb? They could say, no, you can't buy some lamb. So my question is, what happened to that old breakdown that you break down? Where did that go? It went in the wind. That's where it went, because that's how they change. They change like the wind.
Because you made a point that to just humor the elder for a minute, because we know that this is foolishness.
Right.
But there was a scripture that he pulled about the bewitching and the fear that they put on you guys.
Right.
In the bewitching, they instill fear in you. Because there's a video that he put where he asked his men to explain what is the hour of temptation. Y'all brothers saw that? Okay? Where he was saying that the hour of temptation is when the microchip is being distributed. There's no scripture that says that in the entire Bible. When you look up the hour, anytime an hour is speaking in the scriptures of something to happen, what does it go into? Who knows? In 1 hour, it speaks about what? Destruction. Look up everything that speaks about an hour coming. We're in that hour when the destruction is going to happen. We're going to be in temptation, wondering if we're going to be taken or not, based on our righteousness when we're on this earth. But he got his men explaining one by one, because he commands them all like zombies to do videos. And his explanation for that hour of temptation that Christ spoke about, where he said that he'll watch over us, is that you're going to be faced with the option of you got to take the chip. You see how stupid that is? But because he has those men like zombies and in fear, they're listening to him.
Exactly.
Because the only hour that you read about here is that hour when the destruction comes, that it reads about in Revelation 18, where the Most High is going to take us up before the destruction.
Hey,
okay?
Hey, real quick.
So as you can see, they are vehemently against the microchip. That's why the name of the video is RFID microchips is a hoax. But would you be surprised if we told you that over the years he acknowledged that the chip is real, and he said that they might throw a microchip in there? Huh? We wouldn't be surprised, because they changed like a wind. Their doctrine has changed several times over and over. But my question is, that breakdown there about using Revelation 18 and saying that it has nothing to do with you or me because we too broke and we too poor. And this is talking about big business and big nations and strong nations, small nations. Where did that breakdown go? Because the breakdown is you just broke down. You said, oh, digital ID, they could shut you off. And then, now it has to do with you and me. But at first it didn't. So you see these guys are a ball of confusion. Okay? They weren't given the vision. This is why they're going with the flow. And they're sounding more and more like the prophets that have broke down and kept the doctrine the same regarding what the true mark of the beast is. So who's telling the truth? And this is actually happening this week. Donald Trump is going to China, and they're talking about, we don't know what they're going to talk about yet. But this is just in time for June, because today being May 14, 2026, we're hoping to hear the good news. We hope that the Spirit of the Lord works upon the minds of these people to bringing about the microchip. Because if you didn't know, June, shortly after Bishop Nathaniel said that, we in June ain't no microchips in that same video, June has then became National Microchipping Month for America. See, that's next level humor. So we're hoping that they bring some good news, that come June they can make something happen. And these are all the people that he's taking with him. He's taking the leader of Apple. He's taking the leader of Citi, which is a bank. Elon Musk, who already is into the brain chips. He's taking Larry Fink of BlackRock. Cisco, that's another bank, I believe. Visa, Boeing, okay, Cargill, Lumia, Coherent. I'm not sure what most of these are, but these are, look, MasterCard, Meta, Goldman Sachs, Blackstone. So they're in China right now. So what do you think that they're going to come out of? What do you think is going to come out of this? And didn't King Charles literally just say on camera that he's going to have his people to go ahead and sign up for the digital ID in the midst of all this data and centers being built. So they down there in China now. What do you think they're talking about? What do you think they're going to bring back? Their discussions they're going to bring back. Bringing about the RFID microchips, because that's what China is known for. In fact, when Trump was imposing those tariffs, he said, we don't really want to impose tariffs on China because we need them for microchips. That's what he said. So the question is, where did that old breakdown go of Bishop Nathaniel explaining that the mark of the beast has nothing to do with individuals, but instead big nations and small nations? Where did that go? Because he also, just look it up, but he also was on doing interviews with brothers, I think from Jamaica and or Africa, and they're also asking about the mark of the beast, and he constantly says that same old breakdown. But then a point where he stopped using Revelation 18. That was about, I would say, like 6 years ago. That's when all of a sudden it stopped. It went from being an embargo to sanctions to all that to it's just sin of all forms. And then now it's they're going to use the digital currency. So my question is, what happened to that old breakdown that you just heard? This is Proverbs 24:21. My son, fear thou the Lord Yahweh, and the King, and meddle not with them that are given to change, because their doctrine changed like the wind. That's what it's a rhetorical question when I'm asking, where did that breakdown go? I know where it went in the wind. All right, with many other doctrines that they no longer teach, that they change. This is Proverbs 12:19, one of my favorite scriptures. It says, the lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. NLT, truthful words stand the test of time, but lies are soon exposed. So truthful words stand the test of time. The doctrine, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, even as early as 2008, when YouTube came out in 2007, the apostles and elders, one of the first videos you catch them on internet, 2008, breaking down that microchip is the mark of the beast. And then this is where you have Bishop Nathaniel and them did their video. Now guess what? Each one of those men that you just heard spoke, because I'm not going to let the last guy speak, that Kanai guy, I'm not going to let him speak. Okay, Each one of them has now done a video and explained the New World Order and the digital currency. So one doctrine is still holding firm, while other people, their doctrine constantly changes, and the more they change it, the more they sound like what we've been saying. So who's got the truth? Okay. Giving all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Hakwadash, saying double honors to our apostles and elders. Here a great millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect.